Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
Well, I got a fast question for you.
Okay.
Are you a problem?
Of course.
Do you know that you're a problem?
Yes.
Holy cow. Congratulations. I'm going to applaud you.
I don't know what you're talking about as far as what the problem is, but anytime somebody asks me if I'm the problem, I'm like, yeah, I probably am.
Okay.
Right? I don't know what you're talking about. But.
Well, sometimes I don't either. But in this case, I feel like I might have a clue.
Most of the time, I'm not the problem.
Okay.
But because I say I'm not the problem, I probably am the problem.
Well, okay, here's what I'm getting at. And it goes back to, and I think of my ex-wife, Eric's mother.
Okay.
And it comes down to, she would have a lot of relationships, friendships, coworkers, stuff like that, that would end, people would, in her words, turn on her.
Okay.
Where they would be your friends, and then suddenly now they're your enemies.
Yeah.
Or they are perceived as being enemies, they're working against you, all kinds of stuff. And so it always got me to ask a question, are you sure it's them? And so,
I mean, that won you a lot of points.
Oh, well, I didn't always say it out loud.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I mean, if you're frequently going through relationships, friendships,
sure.
All right, people you work with, because I'm not just talking dating partners here. I'm talking people that you're friends with, whether it's
any level relationship.
Any level, yeah. And so it just got me thinking about, okay, what might be the bigger issue here? Is it that everybody hates you, or could it be us?
Sure. I mean, I think there's a whole range in there, right? I mean, you can also be the person who's absolutely right, and that's why everybody hates you. I don't know.
Oh, well, and there you go. And so that's why I thought maybe we could explore this a little bit, because again, life is all about relationships. It's not about the stuff that we accumulate, but about the people we connect with and the memories we make with them.
Right.
And so, and I've actually done this a couple of times. I have a mirror in my office.
Yeah.
And I've had my client stand up and I said, look in the mirror. Who do you see? Tell me about that person.
Yeah.
And I do that because the idea is one of the we are so quick to look to outside explanations for all of our concerns, all of our frustrations, all of our problems.
Sure.
And the one place that we really don't like to look at is ourselves.
Right.
And so, and I've told, the couple of clients I did this with, I said, our goal is to be able to look at that person in the mirror and go, you know what, I like that person.
Yeah.
I trust that person. I believe in that person. And so I thought, again, my mind goes in some of the most bizarre and potentially dangerous places.
Okay.
And I'll see a news article, or I'll hear a story on, the news or the TV, and it'll get me thinking. And so with my available time, I do a little bit of exploration.
Okay.
And so I thought maybe we could explore the idea of looking in the mirror.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So anyway, I came and looking this up and doing a little bit of background digging. I came up with 5 ways that people might unknowingly be the bigger problem in why their relationships fail.
Okay.
And I'll try and throw in a few things of what maybe we can do to help change that.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Sounds great.
All right. So the first thing I came across, and again, I will refer back to Eric's mother, because she was a lot of this. And I think this is where, when I first heard this and it got me going, I referred back to her, and I'm going, okay.
Okay.
So here's the one thing. One, you're always the victim.
All right.
You are what might be considered as the perpetual victim. Everybody is out to get you.
Well, I mean, all the bad things happen to me. So, I mean, are you saying that the bad things don't happen to me?
No.
I mean, the bad things happen to me, so I must be the victim.
Yeah, but are they because of some of the choices that we have made?
Oh, wait a minute. So now the things that happen to me are because of me?
Maybe.
I mean, so I'm victimizing myself?
Maybe.
Wow. You're blowing my mind.
Well,
tell me more.
Okay. So one of the things that, again, comes back to this is our trauma.
Okay.
Trauma comes in a multitude of forms. And I mean, because when you think of trauma, you think of major event. You survived a tornado, your house caught fire.
Right. It's a shocking situation.
Yes, but it can be a lot less. It can be you got passed over for a job.
Right.
You didn't get that promotion. It might be a breakup with a boyfriend or a girlfriend that, you say, oh, wasn't that big a deal, but it turns out it was actually a bigger deal than you want to let on.
Right.
And then of course, the traditional big traumas of, being sexually assaulted, being
Sure.
going through a very traumatic grief issue.
Right.
And so what I've discovered is that when you are exposed to a traumatic situation and you're not able to address it and process it and heal from that event, as it is left to fester, it creates a challenge for you, the individual, where you're constantly trying to find sympathy for yourself rather than accountability for your actions.
Okay.
So far, so good.
Yeah. I mean, I think, if I have something bad going on, I want people to feel for me.
Sure. But if it's a self-inflicted wound because of something that you have done, something that you have said, all right, in the workplace a lot of times, or maybe it's something you were supposed to do that you didn't do.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of issues that could be a potential explanation, but when you go looking for people to feel sorry for you, then to try and help you feel accountable, then a lot of times what you get is a one-sided relationship.
Okay.
And where you...
So you're saying, I don't have time to feel empathy for other people and their issues because I'm so focused on mine.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
And as a result, you need rescuing.
And so when somebody else tells me about their issue and I relate back to my issue, instead of feeling empathy for them and listening to them, I communicate back my issue and expect empathy from them. That could be a problem?
Very much so, because now you've created an relational imbalance heavily in your favor.
Okay.
Where you have to be on the receiving end and you really struggle to be able to return the favor.
So you're suggesting that if I want empathy sometimes from people, I'm also going to need to offer it and let them speak and let their story be about them and not about me.
Yeah, which is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Especially
I'm all about me, man.
Exactly. And that might be part of the problem.
Oh, okay.
And so, because again, I go back to Eric's mother. And she lost one friendship after another, after another, after another.
Okay.
And I think that it had something to do with some unresolved trauma in her life that created a gap or a hole that, she could not fill. And
Sure.
So by not being able to address it, by not being able to process through it, then it just sat there and it festered and it grew and it grew and it grew.
Okay.
And I truly believe that it was a fundamental part of ultimately that led to not just our divorce, but to her passing.
Yeah.
So, because here's the issue that I've, or at least when you're dealing with a perpetual victim, you struggle with the idea of being honest. You struggle with being able to be honest, not just with yourselves, but with other people. And so you're frequently sharing a lot of untrue statements because you have to look good. And how do you do that? Well, it goes by making other people look bad. And it's a bit of self-pity. So anyway, like I say, when I started doing on this, I'm going, wow, okay, this really hit home for me. Because I think it is natural for us to deflect.
So you're suggesting that if I'm focusing on me and trying to get attention for my issues and some empathy, then like people aren't getting what they need, and then they're going to not like me?
I don't know necessarily about not like you, but over time, you're going to have a more challenging time having long-term friendships, long-term relationships, because it's all about you. What have they done for you?
Okay.
And so your ability to go, well, how can I be there for them, is not something that you spend a lot of time worried about.
But then how do I deal with my problem that I need all this attention for? Like, how do I get around needing that attention from those people, or at least as much of it?
Well, part of that requires you going to therapy.
Okay.
Going to see a therapist, psychologist, and diving into what is your problem. Mm-hmm. But here's the rub on that is that folks that have a lot of this unresolved trauma don't see that they're the problem. So therefore, they're less likely to go and seek therapy.
I think that one of the great things about what you're saying is that therapists get paid to actually listen to you. They're not going to talk about their own story so much as they want to hear yours and help you through your story. So I think that's that's an awesome, if that's the kind of expectation you're having out of a relationship, then there's a definite relationship there that can do that for you to some extent, right?
Well, but again, it's for them, another issue is that they're seeking validation.
Right.
They're constantly wanting to receive external praise and glory, saying how good you are, how smart you are, how wonderful you are. Oh, you're just amazing.
Right.
And so their self-worth depends on all of this external approval. And as long as they get it, they feel good about themselves. But if they don't get it, well, then boom, I'm worthless. I'm horrible.
Sure.
And of course, what do most of us usually do? Oh, that's not true. Look, you're really good. And so, boom, they'll say I'm a total loser.
Right.
To get you to respond. And so, again, it goes back to this one-sided relationship.
Okay.
So, again, if you're with somebody that is constantly needing to be uplifted, not by themselves and the things that they do, but they want other people to feed, you're amazing, you're wonderful, you're awesome, you're the best thing since sliced bread. Well, again, there might be a lot deeper concerns and issues going on here. All right. We all like to be praised. I like, when people say, Rod, you're doing a good job. Thank you very much.
I think we do. I think also sometimes it can be uncomfortable. Like I don't always know what to do with it. I don't always, if I do get it, I don't always know how to respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect it sometimes, and it comes, and then I'm just like, I don't, I do things like, oh, you're too kind, or something like that. Like I just don't always know what to do with it because I don't always agree with it, and I have to accept the fact that they see something that I don't see in myself.
Yes, you and I are a lot alike in that a lot alike in that concept, because I too struggle with self-promotion. Mm-hmm. I struggle with saying, celebrating the things that I'm good at. It's kind of like, well, no, this is just me being me. But yes, I'm with you. But if you are, and I put this in air quotes, part of the problem, a lot of times it comes from low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Your low self-esteem is actually helping drive this behavior. And I go back to what I said at the very beginning about this is directly related to some unresolved trauma that you experienced at some point in your life.
So we should go see therapy for that. I mean, what else we got on this?
Well, part of this too ties back to the blame game.
I love
And
the blame game.
yeah, but again, it's deflection. It's you cannot admit your mistakes, that you played a part in part of your problem.
Right. It's human nature, though, right? Like religion even has it. I mean, Adam and Eve started out with blame in the story.
Yes, that is true.
They just blame everybody else.
Well,
It's
because
not my fault. It's your fault.
it's easier, and it is hard for us to say, you know what? Yeah, my bad, my mistake. I screwed up.
Yeah.
And I recently saw a story of a lady who had her dog at the dog park. The dog attacked another person. Rather than staying there and taking responsibility, which would have been a very minor thing, the dog would have, you may have at worst lost the dog to be euthanized. But instead, the dog and the dog owner skedaddled and ran from the cops. Well, now you have escalated this issue and you made something small into something huge. And so it is hard for us. And I think it's harder for younger people than it is for older people like you and I to say we made a mistake.
Yeah.
You know what? You're right. I probably should have said something different. I could have handled that situation a lot differently.
Sure.
But if you are, and again, I put this in air quotes, part of the problem, well, you don't see that you do anything wrong.
Right.
It's always someone else. And so, because now, again, you're deflecting from yourself, you don't look in the mirror.
I think the thing that I've learned about blame over my lifetime, of course, the opposite of that is to accept responsibility, right? Which is the better thing to do. But one of the things that I've learned about it is that nothing good ever comes from it. Right. Nothing,
okay, explain.
I just don't think anything good ever comes from it. And I think the illustration I would use is one from the Adam and Eve story, right? Where like the snake, is blaming, and then the man blames the woman, and the woman blames the snake, and there's this big circle of blame going on, and God's just like, I'm just going to punish everybody. Right. Like, so everybody just gets in trouble, and nothing good comes from it. Right. And we don't know what would have happened had they accepted responsibility.
I remember.
Right? So
no, you're right.
So what I learned from that little story is, don't blame somebody else, right? Try to figure out where's your fault in this situation. Might there be some blame to somebody else? Absolutely. But who cares? All I care about, the only thing I can learn from, is what responsibility do I have and how can I fix that?
Growing up,
yeah,
my parents would frequently say to me that my punishment was not, well, okay, the severity of my punishment was more based on my attempt to dodge responsibility,
right,
than it was for whatever it was that was going to be punished for to begin with.
Right.
So basically, I tried to lie my way out of it, and they go, your punishment is more severe because you lied
right,
than because of the event itself, which I thought was a great way to help teach me accountability.
yeah.
So, and as a professional adult, things that I would do at school, and those bosses of mine, I applaud them, because I was not always an easy employee to manage.
Sure.
Because I suffer from foot and mouth disease.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't always think about what I would say before I would say it. And so it would lead to some issues for my supervisors. And I would say, you know what, you're right. I did that. I could have handled it better.
Sure.
In which case,
But you learn from it every time.
oh, absolutely.
Right. So that's the thing, though. I mean, you accepted the fact that, hey, I did something that I shouldn't have done, and I learned from that, and so now it'll be different next time, right? Might you have still done something similar? Sure, but it wouldn't be the exact same thing.
Exactly. And that's kind of to go with what you were asking before. Listen to the other person.
Yeah.
Listen to what they're having to say and be an active listener. Listen to understand rather than listen to respond.
Jeez, that keeps coming up in our podcast.
Oh, it sure does.
It really does.
And so, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for these kinds of people that blame everybody else to listen with the idea of understanding.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's tough for these individuals.
I think this ties back to our last episode we had, right? Like about emotional regulation. I mean, to stop and listen requires that regulation. You have to have built that skill of being able to regulate, to be able to stop and say, well, I'm not going to react here. I'm going to stop and think, right? And then move forward.
Well, as you say that, one of the other things that came up in my investigation here is that people who engage in this kind of behavior, again, Eric's mother, they have a low emotional intelligence. Now, that doesn't mean they're stupid. That doesn't mean they're dumb. In fact, Eric's mother had a genius IQ.
Sure.
But because of that unprocessed traumatic event at some point in their life, it made it tough for them to be able to recognize or understand or regulate their emotions.
Yeah.
And so as a consequence, since they could not control or regulate their own emotions, then they sure as heck could not respond effectively to other people's emotional needs.
Yeah, look, you have to learn everything in life, right? Like I can become awesome at sports. Right? And be bad at many other things. Right? I mean, you see a lot of sports figures that are professional figures that they do amazing things on the field in their sport or whatever activity they're doing. They, on the court, on the racetrack, whatever, they do awesome things. They can do, and you're like, wow, that's awesome. Like, I wish I could do that. Right? And these people are at the top level of their athletic and other abilities, right? And yet, they end up arrested for, a bar fight. And it's like, why couldn't they, that was stupid. Why couldn't they? Because they don't have the emotional regulation. They have the discipline on the field. In their sport. But outside of that, they haven't figured that out. They haven't dealt with that. And so you have to learn that too, right? I mean, same with intelligence. You get these CEOs that are just, amazing with their ability in their field, in their company, and running it and making it make a lot of money and helping a lot of people in that way. And then they go do some really ridiculous thing that you find out they've been doing all along, drugs or affairs or whatever. And, because they don't have that piece down. You have to learn in every aspect, right? Whatever you always have to be learning how to deal with those things and do better in different areas of your life. And part of that is that emotional regulation. Like you could be the smartest person on the planet and just fly off the handle. But now you have to deal with that emotional side. Right? You have to learn how to do that. And the only way to learn how to do it is to see it, notice it, and, accept some responsibility for it.
Well, here's to tie in with that, when you are not able to regulate your emotions, if you're not able to be there for your friend, your coworker, your partner,
right,
then that partner feels, or that friend, the other side of that relationship, feels unsafe. Unsafe in sharing with you because you can't reciprocate. You only want to take, you cannot give.
Right.
And so after a while, that other person goes, you know what? I'm just sick of this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for your issue, but this is not a one-way relationship. It's a two-way street here.
Well, and that's where you get people avoiding and, kind of backing away from you.
Exactly. And then that individual goes, well, then everybody hates me. And it feeds back into their own narrative.
Sure.
And it's really kind of tough because, again, it's a communication issue. It's got to be a two-way street.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these people have such low self-esteem that they have to control that relationship.
Yeah.
Their low emotional intelligence makes it hard for them to see from other people's perspective. And so the only way they feel good about themselves, besides making other people feel bad, is to take control and be domineering.
Okay.
And after a while, again, people, your friends, your lovers, your people in on the other side of that relationship go, look, you know what? I'm not, this isn't worth the effort. This isn't worth the time. And I go to Eric's mother, and she was this. She was all of this.
Yeah.
Super smart, super talented, low self-esteem, ruined every relationship she was in.
Yeah.
And and I just go back to an issue of unresolved trauma.
Yeah.
I can only speculate what that was because she never talked about it.
Right.
Which is why it was unresolved.
Sure.
And so if we can get these people to help, we can address the trauma. And there are many different ways to address it. One of my favorite ways, and this is where you can have a quality therapist use EMDR.
Yeah.
It's eye movement desensitization and, I always forget what the R, but realignment, basically.
Okay.
Because you take whatever that traumatic event was, and because your brain shuts off and tells its own narrative of what that event was about.
Right.
Well, again, when your brain protects you, but it's only a temporary thing. Your body continues to deal with the issue and the stress and the anxiety of depression of that issue, and your body's going to explore. We've talked about this before.
Right.
But you've got to address that trauma, and EMDR allows the therapist and the individual to do a deep dive on that issue, and you literally rewire your brain from the misaligned understanding to the real understanding. You look at it, you process it, you deal with it, and suddenly, dang.
I think that's interesting because you change pathways. I mean, in your brain. That book, The Body Keeps the Score, talks about that. And there's several other books that I've read that mention that. So, yeah, but what's a practical way? I mean, you talked about the mirror at the beginning, right? Like standing in front of the mirror and just, starting to think positively about the person in the mirror. So like what are some other, is there another way that we can, I mean, we talked about in the last episode about journaling for kids. Mm-hmm. Like how would journaling play into that? Would that be something that would help?
I think it would. I think it would give the individual that suffered this traumatic event to be able to talk, and I put that in air quotes because you're journaling, but to be able to talk about that, to look at it, to face it. But that's the rub, is that traumatic event was so terrifying.
Yeah.
Embarrassing, humiliating, whatever you want to call it. And so to be able to look at it, to face it, well, they can't do it. And so, but if they can, I think the journaling is a good start. But I think you truly do need the help of a professional to help guide you through, to go back to that traumatic event, open that door.
Yeah.
And with the help of somebody who is trained to guide you through, and let's take a look. Let's sit down and let's honestly observe. Let's honestly evaluate, and let's revisit. And let's tackle this thing head on.
Yeah.
That's where I not only have trained to use EMDR, and I have not only started to use it with some of my clients, I've had it done to me on multiple occasions.
Sure.
And I have to say, it is amazing. I have seen it work both on me and on other people. And if you can face that traumatic event, then now you're able to, you can heal from it. And now you can honestly look at that person in the mirror And you don't have to dodge and you don't have to blame. And it can help your self-esteem and it can help your emotional intelligence. And now you have gone from being part of the problem of why your relationships end to now helping have healthy, thriving, wonderful relationships with people that you want to have relationships with. Whether it is your spouse, whether it's your coworkers, doesn't matter. Family members. It is now possible because you have a two-way street, not a one-way road.
I think it's excellent. I don't know that I have anything more to add to that. I mean,
it's tough because we all know people that, I mean, you and I bet if we talked about it a little bit, we would come up with the same name of somebody who was tough to work with. And I get it. These people are out there, and it's not entirely their fault. It's they were traumatized at some point in their life, and no one has bothered to try and help them address the traumatic event because that's the root problem. And everything, their behaviors are just a symptom of that unresolved. So if you are finding that you are the problem, or you are in a relationship with somebody who does these kinds of things, well, the hardest part is to get them to admit they need help. But if you can, there are some ways that can be successful, and you can get the person that you enjoyed being with back in your life.
yeah. Well, that sounds awesome.
Well, anyway, I appreciate you indulging me on this.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's, that's useful information.
Anyway.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that's all I got. So I guess until next time, I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.
See you later.
Bye-bye.